Hey everyone, Jana here, and today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. You see, over the last couple of months, I've been working on a video about Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten's nerf. But yeah, it's taken a while. So I decided to put out this video here because I wanted to talk about something that happened a couple days back. So, I was talking to a buddy of mine who I play Destiny 2 with a lot, and he was telling me how competitive could be such a frustrating experience because he had spent most of an afternoon playing competitive and he basically came out empty-handed with 0 glory points. And of course, he was pretty upset about it. As soon as he told me that, my first instinct was to tell him that Destiny 2 is a game. So it actually doesn't matter if he wins or loses because what matters is for him to have fun, enjoy his time playing the game, and that winning or losing doesn't mean a thing. The thing here is that he actually wasn't looking for any type of advice, he was just talking with me about it. But I just felt the need to say something that would help him not feel as frustrated in the future. So I thought about advising him to just take it easy and not put so much weight on winning or losing. The problem is, that's not how his brain works when playing in a competitive environment. And, well, it's competitive. You're supposed to go in and want to win, because if you don't, you lose points. And if you lose points, you don't make any type of progress. And besides, he was feeling frustrated for losing all his points, more so than anything else. Even if it is just a game, his time and effort were kinda wasted because all the progress he made vanished in thin air right in front of him. So instead of feeding him bullshit, I decided to stop for a minute and break down the issue at hand to find some proper advice. The problem was feelings of frustration towards comp for losing matches and points. So the solution to the problem would have to be something that reduced frustration levels and made sure he would be able to make the most out of his comp experience, whether he won or lost, made progress, or lost some or all of it, so he could still have fun and feel inspired enough to keep going. Because here's the thing, no matter how much you might think that the answer to this whole situation is for him to get good, besides it being another piece of bullshit advice, no one will ever stay in comp long enough to get good at it if they feel utterly frustrated and burned out. So it's very important for players to find good ways to fight off frustration. And this is something I have been working on a lot since the start of Season of the Drifter in and out of comp. I've seen firsthand how frustration can kill all the enjoyment you get out of PvP if you let it fester and take a hold of you. I've been there by letting a lot of different things get to me to a point where PvP was being more toxic than fun. But I've also witnessed firsthand how controlling your frustration can lead to an incredible fun and rewarding PvP experience, which is exactly where I'm at with Crucible right now, to a point where I freaking adore playing comp, more so than quick play. So when I looked at what exactly got me to this point in my PvP experience, I found what I needed to help my friend out in a meaningful manner. Something that reduced frustration levels and helped make the most out of the comp experience, whether winning or losing. And that something was focus. Focus here means that when you're in a match, you disregard everything that has nothing to do with the match itself. Whatever issues you have with the way you play, whatever issues you have with certain OP guns, subclasses, strategies, none of that matters. What matters is what's happening in the match you're playing. And that's why I say focus. You're focusing your attention on what you're doing, on what your teammates are doing, and what your opponents are doing. Now, when I say focus, I'm not talking about overthinking. The focus I'm talking about gets you in a mindset where you're so into the game you're playing that solutions to certain problems will pop up in your mind immediately as you're playing. Because as you stay focused on what you're doing and what you're watching, your brain will start getting used to noticing issues with plays from your team, from yourself, from the other team you're facing. And the more you expose yourself to this kind of focus, the easier it will be for your brain to capture all this information as you're playing, and without having the need to overthink each and everything you're watching. So all of this together will help you get into a position of winning more often, and better yet, will place you in a position where you'll have way more fun, even if you lose. Because as you keep growing as a player, as your brain evolves and understanding what's happening in a match and reacting to it in time and as quickly as possible, you'll start getting better results. And with that, you're gonna have way more fun. Now, one thing this focus will also do for you, in terms of decreasing the amount of frustration you feel, you'll stop thinking and worrying about what your opponents are using. Because one of the main issues I see a lot in competitive is people complaining a lot when they're killed by a certain gun, a certain super, or about OP and unbalanced things. Because here's the thing, you have to accept the meta as is. Whatever very good or overpowered things start running the Crucible at a given point must be accepted. By accepting the OP things as a natural occurrence, and let's face it, OP things are always a natural occurrence in the world of Destiny. Getting angry or frustrated at those things will diminish over time. Now, this doesn't mean you should accept everything that is broken or unbalanced. It means that you should complain about them using the proper channels like the Bungie forums, Reddit, maybe Twitter, so they can get fixed in time, but leave those complaints out of your mind as you're playing the game, because complaining during a match won't do anything to fix the issue. So it's pointless and will get your mind out of the most important thing, which is the match itself. By keeping your mind on the match and not on the things that you can't fix, you'll be way more focused on your surroundings, your team, and your opponents, which will allow you to absorb information with greater ease and start finding ways to one-up the things that have been getting you into trouble, and even learn from your mistakes, which will allow you to, over time, help you start making better decisions. When you're complaining about something that you hate in the game, you just stay there, salty as hell, and blaming everything on a certain gun, super, strategy, whatever it is that your opponents are using, which does nothing for you and your team and just gets you even more tilted and in a mindset that will only benefit your opponents. With all that being said, there's one last thing that you have to ask yourself. Is Crucible something you want to pursue and play regularly? It's important for you to ask yourself this, because if it is not something you want to do that much, no matter what you do, frustration will always find a way to settle in and make you hate the hell out of Crucible, which means that PvP might not be the best option for you. There will always be something that is broken, so there will always be something grinding your patience at various points. You need to understand if Crucible is worth it for you, because if it is, you have to keep in mind that if you want to make that experience a really worthwhile one, you're gonna have to work at it. And I'm not even talking about working on your general Crucible skills. I'm talking about working on your mental game. Whether you're just playing casually or taking it way more seriously, I believe that the way you mentally approach PvP is the most important thing to master. It will dictate how much you take out of PvP and PvP's staying power in your Destiny experience. If you're able to find a way to have a really good time in PvP, you'll inevitably get better at it because you'll keep playing. And if you get better at it, your levels of enjoyment will increase. So it's a never-ending cycle of improvement feeding enjoyment, enjoyment feeding time investment, and time investment feeding your improvement. This is why I think the mental game is so crucial. It's the foundation of your enjoyment and growth in Crucible, and especially in competitive. Now, the match you've been watching isn't here by accident. I chose this match specifically because it illustrates everything I mentioned in this video. I'm not a shotgun hand cannon main, so I've been learning how to use this combo effectively and developing my instincts with it over the last month and a half, especially when it comes to being more aggressive. I main a pulse rifle and a fusion rifle, and I tend to play range and more passively, which means that maining a hand cannon and a shotgun is outside of my wheelhouse. This match is the first time since I began maining this loadout where I noticed that my new approach to playing Crucible really started paying dividends and leading me to think in ways and execute things I had never done before. This is why this match is such a great fit for this video. Now, this doesn't mean I played incredibly well and slayed out. I did a ton of mistakes and a lot of bad calls. This is a match that showcases a work in progress, a player finding his way with a certain loadout and clicking with it in various ways for the very first time. So what I'm gonna do next to showcase this is break down some of the plays that went down during the match. The first play we're gonna start with is actually the one I think is the most relevant one, because what happened in this play influenced the outcome of the entire match in terms of my performance and most of the decisions I made. So here's the thing, before the match started, I checked everyone's loadout to see what everyone was rocking, just so I had an idea of what I would be facing inside of the match. Now what I found out is that most, if not all of the guys were using long-range weapons. There were a couple that were using hand cannons, but besides that, I was the only guy with a shotgun. So before I got to this play, I was actually playing really badly. I was uncertain about what to do, I was playing extremely passive, carefully in a way, but not in a good way because I was getting killed because of that. So what happened here was simple. I actually made a really bad decision because I pushed on two guys that were far away from me. And what I noticed here was that they felt really uncomfortable with me right on their faces. Because not only was the guy with the pulse not able to kill me, the guy with the bow right behind them did nothing to me. So I was able to kind of run in a straight line towards them for a long stretch, miss a shot, get a kill on the second shot, and still come out of it alive against two guys, and although they had plenty of time to kill me. I remember clearly as I was running away from the murder scene that I started thinking that those guys struggled a ton in CQC, and that I should definitely spend the rest of the game pushing them as hard as possible. The best part about all of this is that the thought came out of nowhere. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, I was just absorbed by what was happening in the match. And although this might sound trivial to some of you, this type of thought process that appears out of nowhere isn't something I'm used to. I tend to overthink everything as I'm playing, which leads to a lot of indecision and bad calls. So when I had that thought, I kinda came out of the match for a brief moment because I noticed that growth that was happening in real time as I was playing. And fortunately for me, this would only be the first of many awesome decisions I had during this match. And this to me showcases how important it has been for me to focus so much on being into the matches I'm playing and not let anything get to me as I'm doing so. Now the next play I'd like to go over with you is actually a play where I'm killed. Now this play here is really important because it showcases two things that I mentioned in the video. First, we have a dude killing me with Telesto. And Telesto is one of those guns that many people consider either OP or cheap. So it's one of those guns that qualifies as being a gun that can get to you and make you just lose your mind as you're playing. On top of this, Tony also teabagged me, which along with Telesto can add up in terms of how aggravated you feel about that whole thing. And with that, influence your game negatively and actually help Tony and his team win the match with a lot more ease. So although this could have been a really aggravating situation, I didn't let it get to me because it didn't matter. It didn't matter that he had killed me with Telesto, and it didn't matter that he had teabagged me. What I took from that whole situation was that I had to be more careful when facing Tony because of his Telesto, and that Tony needed to be teabagged. Because here's the thing, I'm a polite dude, okay? So if someone teabags you, you should teabag back. So I made sure that for the rest of the match, I would teabag him back. As far as Telesto goes, the gun didn't kill me one single time after that. Because instead of pushing when I shouldn't, whenever I noticed that Tony was trying to kill me with Telesto, I used cover to my advantage. So all these plays together, I think showcase exactly how strong this type of mindset can be to help you have fun in competitive and in Crucible. PvP in Destiny can be so much fun that it kinda pains me to see people not enjoying themselves while they're playing. I have moments of frustration as well. This is not like, ooh, I never have any moments of frustrations, I'm so good at this. No, of course frustration settles in from time to time. But I think the most important thing here is that I try my best to avoid it, and when I'm starting to feel it, to get away from it as quickly as possible. And I do this by approaching the game in a way that optimizes my chances of having a lot of fun, while at the same time improving my chances of winning matches. And I really hope that this helps you get to that place. Okay guys, I'm out of here. You take care, okay? Have fun in Crucible. Please, please have fun in Crucible, for crying out loud. For the two of you that stayed till the very end, thanks a bunch for listening to my ramblings over here. And I'll be seeing you around. Bye-bye.